From Hawaii to Afon, I run marathons like Man Beast. I'm a true champion like MSG, Regis Daily, Quran Ninja. It's me, HackerHamin, Farrakhan Ninja. And that's right, infidels, we're back here. IA, the Impact Attack. Kicking it off live, Broster's coffee coursing through my veins. 2 million infidels, that's right behind me, lifting me up to the hands of Allah as I rise to the Supreme One. Yes, morons, it's your Impact Attack, hackerhamin.podbean.com. YOLO! Needed that. Got to get it pumped up. Got to get going because I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to mail anything in. No, never, not again. You got to set the model for everybody to follow, and they're doing it, and success is everywhere around us. Good morning, infidels. Ya Allah, MSG. Big news, big stooge. Hit them with it.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple days ago, or I guess it would have been 2 days ago now, I got a call from an interview I had, and I got the position. So I will be moving to Denver, Colorado.
Woo!
And yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So awesome. Brand new hub. It's a brand new hub being built in there, and about 63% of local markets, 117 total as far as stations. And then the market Denver itself, I think they help facilitate anywhere from 30 to 50 stations. So like in my own job itself, I'll be overseeing on my shift anywhere from 8 to 10 stations, like I'm watching all at once. Right. Automated, which is cool, all the brand newest technology. So basically I'll get trained on everything that'll be around for the next 10 to 15 years.
Awesome.
Really awesome. Cool. So, but I mean, even more so than that, man, I mean, it's interesting. You know, I sent you this message. I'm not going to stooge off the guy's name, but like, you know, when you, like, I don't mark out for wrestlers. I mark out when industry people hit me up, and like, I've already gotten a director and a couple other people who have hit me up who live in the area. I've got my buddy who runs a pro wrestling promotion hit me up, like, hey, we need help, blah, blah, blah. So it's, and then Vince Russo's out there. Maybe I'll just show up at his house and we'll produce a non-wrestling show from.
Absolutely, dude. He wants to do more music. He wants to do all that stuff. I think with your music background and him, be fast friends, dude. Absolutely. And obviously your work ethic is unparalleled, and what you've accomplished in 3 years, there's nobody shining brighter, really, as far as what it takes to get in there, do the work, and be humble and get through it all, man. There's always a couple waves along the way, but that's to teach you how to weather the storm ahead when you don't have a captain there, and you got to become the captain and know how to fucking wheel and deal it. So you've done great things, and go forth, young man. I know what this is. I've been right where you are. You're how old now?
32.
32. All right. So I moved at 21 to Chicago, 22, moved there, 6 years, 7 years there, 28, 29, pack up the truck and move to Beverly for OVW and start the next chapter, then come back to New York after 3 years there. So as a vagabond artist, it can sometimes seem like a lonely life, but the fulfillment outweighs. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Sure, two kids, mortgage and all that, it might seem like a simple life, but there's a lot of dudes out there who would trade spots with you in a heartbeat to chase their dreams like you are. So know that you're not just towing the line for yourself and your own goodwill, but for every man out there who's had to make a different change in his life to do the right thing, who wishes he was out there at 32 still being able to chase down his dreams like you're doing, man. So good job. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you.
I appreciate it. I feel a little bit more seasoned this time. This is my second or third time, if you will, living on my own.
Sure.
As far as moving cross country or multi-state again, this will be my second time. First time I did it, I was a young, naive, stupid kid, and I made dumb mistakes. So, sure. I mean, I played music, and I made a lot of dumb mistakes. But, you know, obviously reassessing my life, kind of like going back to base, rebuilding back up again. And then, of course, you know, yourself and other outside influences definitely helped progress me toward the next step. So it's definitely going to be fun. Ted, you look like you're going to say something. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm glad Ben took an opportunity to highlight this because, one, you deserve it because you put in the hard work and the grind. And also I think it's important to highlight because I think there are a lot of people out there that wonder what if and know that it's never too late. I mean, at 32, you're taking these opportunities and the grind and the hard work is paying off, and just being humble and being coachable and being an eager learner, it pays off in the long run, inevitably. A lot of people don't know this, but when I first went back to PT school, I actually didn't have any plans originally going back to wrestling. I was trying to do the right thing and just, have a regular 9 to 5 and a good paycheck with good benefits. And it didn't last very long because I was not happy. I had to do what I love and be involved in wrestling. And that's when I jumped back to OVW right afterwards. I went from having full-time with benefits to going part-time just on a whim. And, we were able to start the trade school and do all the great stuff with that and go national everything. And now I'm here with you guys as we cross the 2 million threshold. And just know, if you're out there listening, that it's life is too damn short to just go through the daily grind of BS because your mom, your dad, or your wife or your husband said, this is what you have to do. And it's not always the case. And there's going to be situations where it's going to be easier for some people than for others, but there's always the opportunity to chase your dreams. And MSG, I think it's important to highlight you here because you are doing that. And this is only the first steps in what is sure to be a great journey for you. And I just think it's awesome that you're doing this. And I would just want to echo anyone out there that's listening to chase after your dreams, because it's never too late to start. And the next great opportunity is always around the corner. So kudos to you, my friend.
Well, yeah, I appreciate I do hope that somebody is listening today, like I was listening 3 years ago to Ben Hamin saying that, and now you're saying the same thing. I do hope somebody was listening. If you're not fucking, satisfied, Ben Hamin was a little bit more aggressive in his language. But if you're not fucking satisfied with your life, stop fucking bitching. If you're tired of going to your day-to-day life, you're tired of being yelled at, if you're tired of having, your friends and family, get on you for bullshit you don't like, if you're unhappy with yourself, you only have yourself to blame at this point. So go make the fucking change. Otherwise, you're just going to sit in misery. And I think I remember hearing that. And I was on the bus, man, coming back from my job from Seattle. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. He's right. What the fuck am I doing? And that's literally how it all started, guys. So,
and now you're moving to Denver for a brand new job. And
I'll tell you the future. By 2021, probably by the end of 2021, both of you guys will be off Hamin Media Group, because you're both gonna get snapped up into the gigs that I know you're pushing for. I see things that happen. I don't claim to be, Nostradamus or clairvoyant. It depends. Not maybe that, but I see. Yeah. I just see the greatness. I when I see momentum and I see stars align, that's one of the talents I just have, that natural gut instinct as I see to bring things into alignment. And right now we're about here, and it's going to take about a year to get to here. If you can't see it and you're just listening, I have my hands in alignment, and you're both you're just too undeniable at this point. And but
here's the thing, Ben, is that I'm at a point in my life, and I dare say MSG, it probably is reaching that point too, where I'm more about chasing things that are organic and that I can have a hand where I feel valuable and where I am most happy. So yeah, there might be great opportunities to come to my door, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to say I'm not going to take.
I'm not saying that I like, they're leaving. I'm going to be like,
but I'm also saying that I'm also going to continue just to chase the opportunities that I want to chase. That's why I'm here with you guys right now, because I'm truly enjoying the stuff that you all and everyone at the Hamin Media Group is putting out there. I get it, I see it, and I want to be a part of it. And that's where this is where I'm hanging my hat right now. And if other opportunities come up, great. But right now, I'm all about continuing the momentum that you all have initiated and continue to ride it out, and we'll see what happens as we go along. But I'm just having fun right now, and that's what life's about, is finding those things that make you happy. And that's why I wanted to echo MSG chasing his dream here, because it's an important point to make.
Well, I can't speak for Ted, but I plan on being some sort of international correspondent, and I'll be in the jungle, and we'll still be doing the Impact Attack.
You and Tim Alberino out there with Machete Wars, watching fucking Johnny Swinger. Good stuff, man. But I'll say one thing too, because Mamby's like, Pop, because you do look like a young, not that 32 is an old bastard, but you still look like you're in your 20s, and you have that youthful exuberance about you. But I'll tell you what, and this is why I think I was successful at 29 at OVW. Because those first shots of freedom, when you're out on your own, is about the freedom. It's about being out of the nest and failing and eating ramen and staying up and puking and all that shit, dude. And yeah, you're riding that wave, but it's every student that I had come back to me when I was teaching at MV. You can talk about Frio, got out of prison on some drug beef. wanted his hip hop career, takes off, listens to what I tell him, does the work to invest in himself, to get the PR where he's at the P. Diddy party, where he goes down and does shit on Hot 97 in New York,
Wow.
where he's out with Cardi B before she fucking blew up big, and Migos and all them, just to get the pictures. So when he comes back here, he looks like a fucking massive star. Takes off, runs the fucking underground. Bill Vincey comes back to me at 41 years old, didn't know how to turn on a fucking Mac, didn't know where the power button was on an iMac. Now has his own show, over 300, I think they've got over, I can't remember, it's 350 or 750. It's a big difference, but making money to live off of doing the Empire Plate, just highlighting upstate New York restaurants. And like once one restaurant sees, holy shit, they did that for them, then everybody else jumps on because it's keeping up with the Joneses marketing, right? He takes my class by this. Now he's editing his own stuff. He's a direct, couldn't turn on a Mac. 41 years old. Now at 43, runs his own business, the Empire Plate, and will probably get signed by Food TV someday to be doing that, like diners and drives type thing for, I see him as, he's a huge baseball fan, going stadium to stadium for best food and things like that. Would kill it at that type of shit. You, obviously, going back to school, master controller. And I can name 4 or 5 more that I've had students all in that 30 to 40-year-old, after they get whatever it is, young, dumb, and full of cum out of them, and come back and say that's what it is. That's the precipice where a lot of people say, man, I want to, but I can't. I'm 32. And it seems like, dude, that's nothing. And tomorrow isn't guaranteed. So if you live every day like that carpe diem, next day I'm up in my game just a little bit, moving that line forward, and you survive for 3 years through the next madness, where are you going to be? You're going to be that much closer to your dream instead of just putting it on the shelf once again. And if you think you're in that late 20s to 40s, 50s even, I don't give a shit, and you think you can't make that change, it's actually the best time to make that change, because you now have the work ethic. You don't have to get out all that young, stupid testosterone shit, party all night, rock and roll every day, and you focus on what is going to drive you, because you know what you don't want to do, what you've done for the last 10 years, and let that fucking sit and use that as your fuel to go in the direction. Dream as big as you fucking can, and then double it, and then head towards that. Okay?
100%, dude. Seriously, because like, people just, I think that they get caught in that complacency, right? And they fall into that. My dad likes to say he follows NLP, so natural linguistics patterns of the mind, and how we create habits and then don't know how to break those habits. So I think that a lot of people just need to really understand, if you're not happy, ask yourself. It's okay to like sit in that misery and try and figure out why you're unhappy. Because once you figure it out, then you, like you said, you start making the small little incremental steps, and then it just snowballs. Like some of the stuff, like I'm not even trying, and just like all the work I've been putting in, people are just, it's just kinetically happening, you know?
It's almost too much with dude. Yesterday, I didn't blow him off. We were just playing phone tag, but and I still have to get a hold of him to help him with some Twitch stuff. But I'm calling Stevie Ray from Harlem Heat. Like that, and it's just like, okay, I'm now playing phone tag with the fucking 10-time world champion to help him with this fucking tech, because we're connected like that now, you know? Like those, even just leaving a voicemail like that is like, okay, here's where we are. And whatever that is in your life, whatever drove you really when you were 8 to 12 years old, go back to that place, because that's usually the thing that's going to give you the most pleasure in going forward in your life. We're always trying to get back to that child inside of us. Well, I loved wrestling, and I loved hip hop, and I fucking loved production, and that's what and performance. I was performing at 12 years old, and now that's what I do professionally. Whatever that was for you, I don't give a shit if it's riding dirt bikes, taking care of horses, whatever the fuck. Go back. If that's what you loved and that's what you miss, then that's what you need to be doing.
Well, before we get started in Impact Wrestling, I think I'd be remiss, Hamiversary, if we didn't introduce our guest this week. It's Ted M. Punk. How you doing?
I'm doing good, MSG, and I wanted to come on here because, as we know, at Slammiversary this week, we are going to have a former world champion on the show, and only I know who it is. He's my cousin, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. You're going to have to figure it out and watch the show. You'll never guess it, ever. Now, one thing about me, I do have to let you know, Ted M. Punk, I am a curved edge. And what does that mean? It means I don't quite have the bald head, but I do say no to drugs. I do say no to cigarettes, but I do have a little bit of alcohol. Maybe an energy drink or two, and a hell of a lot of wrist tape, baby. I'm Ted M. Punk, and I'm the best on the internet.
Oh, huge pop for the cult of personality himself.
Yeah. You might think my wrists are broken, but that's not true at all, Ben.
Yeah.
It's not true at all.
No, those
wrist tape.
Well, I don't even call you that. I call you a complete asshole. That's what I say. Everybody else around here was pretty cool, but one person was a complete asshole. And there's bears out there trying to eat my cabbages. I don't need to be down here telling people about their wrist tape when I could be home shooting deers out of my goddamn garden.
How surreal was that, by the way, when that happened?
That was the most fucked up thing.
I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, is this
while it was
life?
going down, it was fucking unbelievable. And I just watched him, Mike Johnson, on a panel interview him, and Punk tells the story pretty much dead on how I fucking remember it too, bro.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't standing right there in the back when the wrist tape conversation went on, but I'd heard about it, and while we were setting up. And then obviously there for the whole go home, and that was just like.
See, I didn't know any of that happened. I just was doing the meeting, and then in the middle of it, Tony Atlas is like, I know it wasn't Tony, it was Punk. He said, "What are you staring at me for?"
Yeah, he was.
And then it was
whoa.
Well,
that was the thing. He was like fucking. He's like. Everybody down here was very cool.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, he goes, everybody was real cool with me down here. I appreciate it. Y'all worked hard. Some people were very disrespectful. There was a few that were very disrespectful, and he fucking stares right at Punk. And then he goes back, and then he says some other shit, and he goes, I had to come down and write a report on everything, which that made me pop because Tony Atlas is illiterate and doesn't know how to write reports, which is fine, or was at one time. And then he goes, and I wrote everybody was really good, but one person was a complete asshole. And he's fucking staring right at Punk, and Punk goes, well, you fucking looking at me, dude? And like, what? And he goes, I told you about that wrist tape. In my day, we don't need all that wrist tape. As actually look like you got 2 broken arms. And he goes, something else happened, and then Punk goes, he goes, you ain't never going to get up on TV with that. And Punk is the ECW champion at that time. And he goes...
Right, so Tony had no clue.
No clue. No clue whatsoever. And then he goes, have you even seen my show? And, dude, that was... like, that's where the locker room goes, ooh. Like, dude, don't be calling... Even though you're the champ, you can't call ECW your show with Al Snow sitting there, Roadkill sitting there, that Big Sal. Like, I was like... Fuck, bro. That was some like, okay, Phil, now you're being a little.
My favorite part though was the Tony Atlas. I don't have to be here right now. Or what was it?
He goes, I don't have to be here. Vince McMahon called me to come down here and see y'all. He goes, I don't have to be here right now. I could be back up in Maine. I got rabbits and bears getting in my dumpster trying to eat my cabbages out of my garden. I should be out there with a rifle shooting at them, get them out of my garden. But no, I could be down here with you. You're dumbass with the. And I was like, fuck, and then. Punk and Cody and fucking Mercury and
they just got up and left.
They just got up and walked out, and we were like, "What the fuck?"
But I like though when he said I could be, because for months afterwards that was the rib. When someone would get hot about something, like I don't have to be here right now. Yeah, there's bears getting in my trash, and I could be shooting them right now.
That's a fucking hilarious. Like as a hunter, like. Tony Atlas coming out with a 30-06 on a front porch of a log cabin in Maine, like shooting at bears, with like
no shirt on,
no shirt, nothing. Get out my goddamn guard, bears! And fucking dude, or he goes out there and locks up with them and fucking throws them down and shit. Like, dude, that was the most surreal OVW. One of the top 3, absolutely. I'll just never forget looking right at him. Use a complete ass. I wrote down. He said he wrote it right now. He showed the sheet. Complete asshole. It was so good. But if you're on the curve, let's talk about this, because I was going to put this back. Not that Punk's thing was, that he is straight edge. I've seen him go down to 4th Street Live and act like he's half drunk plenty of times to hang out. But everybody in that gimmick is a drinker or a partier. fucking Mercury. Unfortunately, Deeb got released for the first time for being caught on camera drinking, and then fucking you're a bourbon guy, so Punk really not doing too good at keeping people on the fucking straight and narrow when it comes to
let's be clear. CM Punk does enjoy Pepsi every now and again, and let's not forget caffeine is a drug.
And Dewey, who was my bodyguard, Dirty Bomb Dewey, I know for sure he ain't fucking straight. I'll tell you that much right now,
Ben Bray too.
Ben Bray was in that?
Well, he did. I think he was at a live event, but still, he got his head shaved.
Yeah, he's definitely.
Well, we can tell all kinds of stories about people that went through OVW training back in the day.
Yeah, I'm surprised none of that's dropped yet.
That could be a whole episode.
Yeah, I could. But that's good times, great oldies, good reminiscing, good inspiration for your Impact Attack. Hope you guys are having a good midweek as we kick it off here. We going live at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen tonight with the Conspiracy Horsemen themselves. Hopefully I can get a nap between now and then, but I don't know. I don't think that's happening. So we may have some run-ins.
On Young Jizzy and the Clang Gang.
Young Jizzy. There's a lot going on, man. There's so much in the Horseman chat. We'll have to go back through it all. Might get a John Prester run in. I'll send the link out to some others. You never know. Maybe we'll have some surprise guests tonight if people answer the call. So appreciate you guys sticking with us here on all platforms. We're going to splinter off a new YouTube channel that's going to be for all of our affiliate shows. Also, Vince Russo Network just launched. That's going to be for their affiliate shows. His Impact Crew's on there. All the everybody who's kind of an affiliate partner there. We're going to start uploading their shows there. So follow my YouTube channel, Ben Hamin, the Vince Russo Network, and Vince Russo's channel himself. Appreciate that.
Hamin Media Group on YouTube.
Hamin Media Group. We're just going to keep, now that we're at 2 million, guys, we're not going to stop this momentum. The only thing that's really going to stop it is when these two fuck faces get hired by big companies, and then I'm left in the lurch. But I know I got hungry people out there who I'm bringing up every step of the way. That's what fucking management should be doing instead of relying just on one person. And people are hungry and they can jump in those spots. And these guys will go graduate onto even greater things, and we'll all shine bright together. So, y'all, let's get to some wrestling news and get to the show so we can get the fuck out of here.
All right, sounds good. Well, there wasn't too much wrestling news in the last 24 to 48 hours. Is what you guys covered, other than like New Japan and such. But
never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, I did send a video link to you and Silvio. I didn't send it to Ted. We can talk about it a little bit now. But so Eric Bischoff and Conrad appeared on the AEW YouTube channel and did a show with Tony Khan. So Eric Bischoff met Tony Khan. And I got to tell you, within that first 5 minutes, man, you could just see the look in Tony Khan's eyes. He was super excited to meet Eric Bischoff.
Oh, shit.
So, Ted, we'll start with you before I let Ben go. How long until Eric Bischoff is in AEW?
Well, it certainly could happen, but I have to think, though, I feel like to some degree when they make company decisions that there is still somewhat of a discussion amongst Cody and the Bucks, and I believe Omega is an owner as well. Is that true?
Yeah.
So I have to believe that if Eric Bischoff were to come in, he's going to come in as long as other people are vouching for him as well. That's where I don't know. I don't know Eric's relationship with Cody and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Certainly, Tony Khan could strong arm, but I don't think he's going to do that if all the other owners or people that are helping to run the company are going to stand up for it. So that's where I don't know. I think it very well could be a possibility, but it all comes down to what is the opinion of Eric Bischoff amongst the rest of those that are making the company decisions. And that's where I don't know. I'm inclined to think they probably don't have a great relationship with them, but at the same time, I don't know I don't know everyone's personal relationships within wrestling. So maybe they do have a closer relationship that I don't know about.
Now, of course, the argument can be made that, Eric Bischoff called Tony Khan a money mark, but, in the world of professional wrestling, it doesn't matter what you say publicly because anything, if you can make money, right, you can make money. Ben, what do you think?
Bischoff wasn't lying, and then they tried to downplay him, and then you want to talk about forget the money, just the mark part, you saw it. The guy's supposed to be the new Eric Bischoff, and he's sitting there cheesed out like he's front row at PWG.
He did.
That's
He was like, "It's an honor to meet you. I'm so glad you could be here." I was like, "Dude, like, you'd never hear Dana White or Vince McMahon talk to like another person like this. This is
dude,
amazing."
Shows you it's the opposite of elite. It's fanboy wrestling, dude, at its finest and its highest. And if you think that Eric Bischoff hasn't been in contact with TNT before that went down to like grease the wheels and slide it, because TNT will want to go back to war with Vince, especially if they're wounded and hurt right now, doing a 1.5 and just dog shit shows, and Bruce is all stressed out. Khan being a complete fanboy, and Mark, even though he tried to act like he's legit incredible, he's never ran an indie, never ran a company in his life, really has no clue what he's doing. He needs Bischoff in a war as a wartime consigliere, and he'll go from getting roasted where he couldn't take it, and Bischoff calls him a money mark, and he gets up and walks out. And now Bischoff is effed fully, because I heard he's on Team Money Low, and there's no place left to go. So here's this little, let's get Conrad as the intermediary, and we'll set it up and drop the pebble in the pond. But believe me, Bischoff's been working this since he moved back to Wyoming to get this up, because he has no other options to go anywhere. And I did hear that he may have a new reality series or something coming to TV soon. So maybe he's got a shot, and that his parting paycheck from WWE is enough for him to live on. I hope so. But this is nothing to do with Bischoff and Khan wanting to be friends and do business. This is straight up, in my mind, Bischoff using his corporate intelligence, weasel power to put pressure on TNT, make himself the guy with TNT again. In public, here's the little, let's put the peace offering together so everyone can jump on Khan, but they're going to team up together. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think he's already signed, to be honest with you. But that isn't going to do shit for the creative, because Bischoff doesn't do creative. He does good business moves. So what he could do is come in with WWE knowledge, and stooge to them on how to hurt them or what their business plan was, because he saw that shit. And the 90 days are up now. So we'll see. Go ahead, Beast.
You think Eric is signed with AEW or with TNT?
I'd say TNT, because then that way they'll pay him, and Khan doesn't have to look belly blushed, and then they're working together in secret. But Khan will be too much of a fanboy, and Bischoff will be on camera within 4 weeks, 5 weeks,
and he'll have a new show in the fall.
I do want to play devil's advocate, because ordinarily I would say I would agree, and I'm just more thinking through this. As the CEO of a company, you really should always look like you're just as important, if not more important, than anyone else in the room. That being said, I also feel AEW is trying to come across as a true show for fans of wrestling. They don't try to sugarcoat, they're the wrestling fans wrestling show. So I can also see, to a degree, showing such excitement for someone that has a history within wrestling like Eric Bischoff. You have to think, most wrestling fans, if they were sitting across from Eric Bischoff, probably would be, at least to some degree, excited to meet him, because they know of him. And so I'm not saying he might legitimately just be excited. But
I don't know. Rick Vickery had an hour conversation with Eric Bischoff at a bar, and they talked about college football.
Right.
Dude, Bischoff just wants to drink beers. All the shows I've been on with him, he's just kicking back, drinking a fucking IPA backstage. Very approachable. One of the boys. I don't get any real, corporate slimy guys. But dude, no, he's very personable, and the moves he makes are cutthroat, and I fucking respect that shit, especially when he was going up against Vince and then Monday Night Wars. Sure, there was a lot of WCW waka waka shit that I didn't like, or hold over from Southern Memphis stuff that was like, for a Northeastern guy. But dude, absolutely, he did go to war. It's not a bad move by any means for TNT to have him as a fucking
Well, I just wanted to go back to the point of Khan acting, overly excited to be talking to Eric Bischoff.
That's the problem.
And that's why I wanted to play devil's advocate, because again, if they're presenting themselves as, we are true fans of wrestling, and we're giving you stuff that shows that we care about the fans of professional wrestling, for the CEO to come in and be excited about someone that has a lot of history within pro wrestling, do you think that there's a possibility that at least that sends an image to the fans that, okay, the owner of this company clearly is a fan of wrestling?
What do you think? I mean? What do you think Bischoff is thinking leaving that meeting?
I should have asked for more money.
You got it. I could have worked this guy for twice as much. He sees, dude, how many handshake meet and greets mark out things has Bischoff done over the years? You know, from every WrestleCon to whatever. And this dude comes in looking like every other fanboy, but he's really the CEO. Dude.
Yeah, but to your point, if Bischoff is already signed, then it's a moot point anyway.
Yeah, but when you walking out, he's like, "Fuck, I could have got him for even more."
Yeah. Damn it.
That's how real workers think, dude.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff definitely making moves. I didn't watch the whole interview because I could only get through 5 minutes of it. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get through more of that.
I got through no minutes of it.
Yeah. Well, another thing here before we get into the actual Impact Wrestling results, I wanted to get another AEW topic. Brian Cage defended the FTW title against Brian Pillman Jr. on Dark. Why? I mean, that's I don't know. It should have been on TV. Ben, don't you think so? I mean,
well, they gave Brian Pillman tryout matches or dark matches, and Spears went over on him too. And I'm thinking, like, okay, at least it's dark, but you're putting those results out. Brian Pillman Jr. is a value name, dude. Like, now you've given him 2 losses because wins and losses matter in AEW out of the gate against big opponents. Spears is a guy, he could have gone, well, that would have hurt Spears's, I guess, glove punch or whatever the fuck they're doing that way with it. But you know, like, I don't know. If it's me, I'm doing Brian Pillman Jr. way up in the fucking rafters like his old man would. Like, if everybody's down at ringside, here he is, and he's got binoculars, like big World War II ones or whatever. Just weird shit. And, like, you know, him fucking being an enigma, kind of like how his dad was when he showed up in ECW. You know what I mean? That shit was fucking phenomenal. And in WWE, like when he was at ringside, that kind of stuff is what they need to be doing with him, not getting him in the ring. Give him a tryout match, but you don't even do that dark. So if he can prove that he can get over with Spears and then also with Big Man, so he, like, somebody needs to go, okay, Arn says, all right, he can work both. Not like, all right, you need to get that approval. But they've already handed him 2 losses instead of fucking putting him out there the right way, in my opinion. So, and the kid's so young that he's not going to stand up for his business. You know what I mean? He's going to go along to get along. But my God, can we make any more like blind and wrong decisions? I think that's where I'm like, where's Cody on this? Cody must be on the same wavelength I am on that. Beast, what are you thinking?
Believe it or not, I actually disagree here.
Okay.
And for a couple of reasons. One, I would say at this point in Brian Pillman Jr.'s career, he probably is not quite as seasoned as his dad was when his dad was getting his big break. That notwithstanding, I still think there is story to be told here. And so that's where I haven't seen Brian Pillman Jr. work in a while. I know when I last saw him about 2.5, 3 years ago, he was pretty green. And so I'm sure in 3 years you can certainly make a hell of a lot of progress. But that being said, I still think there's story to be told in working your way up, and perhaps, you know, him coming in as a prodigy and then not living up to expectations. So that's something I think a lot of people can relate to. How many times have we seen someone come in with a family name and they just don't live up to those expectations? So why not bring truth to light and play it up a little bit? And then something to where he's trying to get under his feet. Cody continues on carrying on the Rhodes legacy, and then perhaps something happens where, you know, Brian Pillman Jr. finally says, screw it. You know, I'm tired of, you know, wasting my time here. Goes after the TNT championship, and they have a hell of a 3 or 4 segment match when he finally puts him over. And then that's what solidifies Brian Pillman Jr. To me, it's the story. It's the journey. Now, are they going with that? I don't know. If they are just throwing him out there and just not, you know, planning anything and just saying, whatever, we'll just see what happens, then yeah, I think you should always have business in mind no matter what, whenever you have anything on your television. You shouldn't just be having something happen just for the hell of it.
Well, if he is green in the ring, if he is still green at 3 years, and that's fine. You like, you know,
not necessarily green, but he might not. But not having, I mean, working television is a whole nother monster.
Until you work for 8 years,
2 completely different monsters.
You don't really get it till you start working for 7 or 8 years. Anyway, that's just the way.
And even then, coming in, if you have not worked TV, even if you work 20 years, going from working live events to television, they are 2 truly very different monsters. Really.
So what I would do. I like where you're going there, but let's protect him. Hopefully he can cut the good promo and we can work with him. and maybe can be more of a mouthpiece. And then what you do, if you're putting the horsemen together, you know, as they've been rumored to want to do version 2, well, then you bring in Harry Smith and Curtis Axel, and you put them with fucking Brian Pillman, so those guys can toe the line on the wrestling while he's the fucking loose cannon, you know, doing whatever until he has to wrestle, and then he slips over on somebody in one match. So he's getting reps in, getting ready for TV. I don't know where his character work is, but I keep hearing this 4 horsemen. Well, what are you going to do? You got to have somebody to go up against. So there's a crop of second generationers who weren't in the fucking Flair, Arn, Tully clique that could be put together who aren't on your fucking squad at all. And Harry Smith and fucking Curtis Axel are 2 guys that would be phenomenal to pair with him. So I hope they go that way. But they're spending money. And Khan said, I heard in that fucking interview somebody stooged off last night that they're in the red. They're bleeding right now. So obviously with no house shows, and if shows don't come back, or even if you can operate at half, we'll see. But I don't know, man. If they're in the red, then they're spending money on guys. It's not going to be a good look, because here comes Hawkins and Ryder. Here comes possibly Rusev. Here comes who else? You know, who's been future Bischoff, not a fucking, but TNT might be paying for that. And then who knows who else from the future Endeavor squad is going to show up. And those are all big money paychecks. And if you're already in the red, that's not a smart business move, because you got the librarians on fucking, you know, your payroll still. You got Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy. Like, you're going to compare Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy's value to Zack Ryder. He's probably going to ask for double of what their combined is, if not more than that. And Cody's going to fucking convince Khan to pay it. And we're already in the red. See where we're going here? I'm not trying to be like, they suck and this guy shouldn't be that. I'm just saying the fanboy and good old boy and buddy FCW, OVW business moves are what is going to fucking tank this company based upon that, because they're already out of money if they're in the red, dude. In less than a year, in fucking 9 months.
And that's why you have to be radically candid with people. You know, you got to be able to say, hey, I disagree with you. Let's talk this out. And I'm wondering if I think for a lot of companies, not in and out of wrestling, you know, it seems like those conversations don't happen enough. It's more of, okay, you know, we're just going to let things happen and not speak up for business, just for the sake of maintaining a quote unquote relationship. When in actuality, you actually improve your relationship with people when you are candid with them and share your opinions back and forth. You have more respect for each other when you do that, versus playing the game of, I'm going to get my way this way. And then even though that's not what I know is good business, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut because I'm getting what I want here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And they also know when they see that shit with Bischoff, the boys who are workers from WWE look at each other and like, okay, it's money time. Who cares? Like, look at the Revival. They were supposed to be so hungry. Dude, they're so nothing already in 6 weeks' time, less than that in AEW. Got no, you know, WWE out of it. No, like, controversy, no nothing, dude. So what is going to happen? Like, I hate to say this, but even guys like, what's the house party gimmick there?
The party.
Yeah, like, dude, those guys better have their eyes open that their jobs are on the fucking chopping block here. Because to make way for a Ryder and Hawkins, you're going to have to get rid of 4 undercard guys. And then when you want to bring in Miro, Rusev, you're going to get rid of 2 more. And you can start making your list of, because they have. You remember when Cody made the list of guys he wanted to face? Make a list of 10 guys who are fucking choppable for good old boy network, bigger stars who fucking got muscle mass and look like dudes you can get over, and are guys that WWE marginalized and didn't get their max value. That's what the fans really want to see, is them get their shine in AEW. Well, they have it with the Revival, and they still haven't done it the right way yet. So it's going to be an interesting year, dude. These big signees, big money guys could fucking sink this company.
Well, if just go ahead.
Can I real quick? Just from the chat room, this was a good idea. Oh. Talk about the new 4 horsemen needs a foil. Then you kind of already have it. Darren 1226 makes a good point that the elite, Omega, Page, the Young Bucks, that would be your natural go-to for.
I agree. I think they need them in the in that storyline because they haven't highlighted those guys as the stars that they should be either. Omega should have been on top. Buck should have been on top, and they're fucking humbling themselves and doing good business to get guys over. But that's hurt this company, dude.
I don't want to take this conversation in a whole nother direction, but I was having a conversation with Jargo the other day, and we were talking about New Japan, and it looks like New Japan is going to be shutting out gaijins or people from non-Japanese area to come in. So there's potentially a rumor floating around that we might end up seeing the Bullet Club come to AEW, which would be more money, right? I mean,
that would kill New Japan. That, to me, that's nothing more than saying we don't have a lot of money to fly people in anymore and pay trans internationally. We got to fucking tighten up and go smaller. Like, why would they do that? The gaijin and the fucking outsiders are what gets their guys over. Like that's it. Like that is a.
I think it has to do with the COVID concern as far as the traveling and bringing back the sickness as well, and they're not thoroughly satisfied.
That's
with
an easy out, bro. Let me tell you about wrestling promoters. Okay, they're gonna use every excuse to fucking save a buck that they can and put that out there. And if their company's already hurting because of that, then that's what they need to do because they've lost.
Well, I guess here's. I mean, if you want to talk about stars aligning, you bring in Eric Bischoff, who was the originator of bringing the Japanese idea of the NWO over to WCW.
Sure.
There's potentially Bullet Club could be coming over. It sounds like the writing's almost there for it to happen once more. Who's going to be the third man?
How's Bullet Club going to come back? Remember when Tonga put out those fucking pictures of Skrull and Omega kissing and fucking Cody and him kissing, and like nothing really came of that afterwards? It was just like a weird, like
no sell. No, I mean, really.
And then the speaking out movement dropped after that and took the heat on a different path. But can those guys come in and show up and like, is Cody going to want to hire them? I don't know, dude. And then is ROH? Those are the two places they would land, AEW and ROH. And now, unless Skrull's out at ROH, which this month-long investigation and kind of the Jay Lethal stuff has been pushed aside too. There's like this speaking out movement's already passed us by. I think like there's 8 to 10 names I can't believe they haven't dropped. Like I'm just like, wow. And so it was all lip service, clout chasing.
Well, speaking of non-clout chasing people, because clout, they're not chasing it. They don't have to. Vince Russo, you can go check out his amazing coffee. You will love it. It's blended from Nicaragua with scents of cherry and chocolate and almond. You'll love it. So go to thebrosters.com, pick up yourself a bag of Russo Bro coffee. Russo Bro. Also check out ZordasOliveOil.com for the finest artisan Greek olive oil. In fact, I actually did watch a story yesterday at work on Good Morning America. They were talking about the biggest fad right now is people cooking from home. So instead of using that nasty ass, butter or margarine or fatty Crisco, get yourself the finest bottle of Greek artisan oil from ZordasOliveOil.com. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/BinHamin, BWO Stevie, SEG shirts, Greek God, Papa Don, and Stevie Richards Fitness.
Crossfire Wrestling for the new Ben Hamin shirt,
right.
man. Absolutely. Looks
Crossfire. Awesome. You'll get caught up in the crossfire. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's go to I got that idea based on listening to you in the Monday Locker Room, Ted, when you said that too. I was like, oh, I got to put that.
Crossfire.
You'll get caught up in the. Anyway, shout out to the Random Podcast. That was one of their top songs. They did like top 5 songs last week. Anyway, tonight's Impact Wrestling starts with a recap, kind of what's been going on as they have been doing each and every week. But we're going to start off with about 12-minute match here. It's an 8-man women's tag team knockouts match. Rosemary Taya Valkyrie with Johnny Bravo, Kira Hogan, and Tasha Steelz. Kimberly versus Havoc, Nevaeh, Alicia Edwards, Susie, and Kylie Ray. I'm sorry, that's 10 women, not 8. Some of those women I forgot were there, like Alicia Edwards. But Nevaeh immediately tackles Tasha Steelz to get this started off. This match was interesting. Like, they didn't give part of the intro. They kind of just started with Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz dancing in the ring. And everybody comes out. This whole match does get, like I said, 11, 12 minutes. A little bit all over the place, even so much after the match. But we see Edwards flattening kind of everyone. At one point, suicide dive by Havoc. Heels isolated Kylie Ray. Take turns tagging in and working over Ray. Go to a break. Ray then manages to tag in Susie. She takes everybody out until Lee catches her with a boot. Then Lee goes up top, but Susie blasts her with a palm strike. And then the conclusion of this match, we see a walk-up Rana by Susie. Everyone then hits their big move. Ray super kicks Lee. Susie picks up Lee in an airplane spin. And then hits Su Young's panic switch for the win. And they note that even Josh Matthews was surprised. What was that? Susie hit Su Young's finisher. So winner of this match was Havoc, Nevaeh, Alicia, Susie, and Kylie Ray. And then immediately afterwards, they all brawled to hype up this gauntlet match for Slammiversary. Doctor, give me a clue. I got a bad taste of hearing love from these and women too. Go ahead.
As far as the entrance, they cut out the entrance, I don't know, but I know sometimes what happens on television, if it's pre-taped, is if a segment goes too long, you got to cut out parts, and that may have been where they got their entrance cut out because they went too long. Which, if that's the case, then shame on them for going long. If not, then sometimes it just happens just so they can have more time for the quote-unquote action. I thought for the most part it was. This was a good reason for us to remind that there's a lot of women on the roster in the division. This first time I've seen Alicia Edwards. Is that Eddie Edwards' wife?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't know.
She's wrestled like maybe three or four times on TV, and she's been side
She's green.
piece.
She's very green.
She's very green.
She did fine here as far as
they protected her.
I could tell. There was a part at the beginning, and I hate to say this because I think she's a hell of a worker, but I would have liked to see when Havoc was rolling through the heels, instead of them feeding in one by one, which I felt was kind of hokey and ridiculous. Because after I see two people that are on my team run in and get killed by someone that's twice my size, I'm not going to run in two. You know what I mean? So I would have liked it better if after maybe the first one, Jessica would have, as the monster got over there and just started popping them off the apron or popping their heads together and just being more assertive and aggressive in that moment. Because then they could have fed into the spot where everyone, did the dives and everything. That's just a small nitpicky thing, but when the third heel walked in just to take a gimmick, I was like, well, now that, at this point it looks silly. I feel like a viewer at home would say, okay, I know better because everyone walking in is getting kicked to the face. You know what I mean? But other than that, I thought it was a good quick paced match as far as it maintained action. I really liked at the end the facials of Susie. I didn't see her previous character, but I've read about it and heard about it, and the announcers allude to it. But I could see that moment, and it was her going from being that angry, kind of evil-esque character to being fearful that character or that entity was consuming her. And I could see that story just in her facials alone, which is very impressive. And sometimes hard to tell that story just through your facial mannerisms. So kudos to Susie for that little transition there. And it seems they're alluding to her inevitably turning evil again at some point. So I thought it was, at least in that end of the edit, there was some future business to be had. And it makes me curious to see where they're going to go next week.
Before you jump in, Ben, pop to Fudge20 in the chat room. Fatty Crisco would be an awesome indie name. That popped me. But go ahead. What did you think about this match, Ben?
You hit the Biggie Small switch right there.
Exactly.
You sound like 3 octaves deeper again.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, dude. This was your classic Berwyn Eagles Club tape trader, masturbator, shine, shimmer extravaganza where they work that way. You can go there and see all their pictures on the wall in 8x10s, all the girls who ever worked there. It's a fun place to do a show, but it shines through, it shimmered through that things like that with the triple feed in are indie-rific, and no one really agents them fully. Super sexy. All the girls in here are in great shape, dude. They are doing the work to look like stars. Kiera Hogan, not afraid to, even though she's got the tights on, like get some ass out where WWE walks the line. Let's do sexy. If they're not doing sexy, then we are, by God. And I think Kiera Hogan is the standout, dude, in the way character-wise and that sweetie thing, that my type. I think she needs to have, and I might talk to Frio on this, somebody ghostwrite her a track it's that trash hip-hop, whatever, you know what I mean? The Stallion chick, what's her name? All of them, from Cardi B, any of that shit. For her, and they need to shoot a video where she's with her girl and they're rolling down and checking out dudes and fucking, they're badass little bitches and they're twerking and all that. Like, if that's hot right now, WWE's doing nothing like that. Bianca Belair is like a smidgen of what that is. where they could really go that way, and she might take off. If they spent the money to get her over on World Star Hip Hop and did a paid ad, that'd be a fucking huge pebble in the pond for her, dude. And I thought the girls did well. I don't know about Havoc diving. I'm like, she's the base. Like, I get the spectacle of it, but it's kind of the same thing where I'd have to put heat on Brian Cage when he did it. You know what I mean? So just because I love J-Hav, I can't let that slide. Like, she's the one who needs to be showing test of strength, not agility of that. You know what I mean? So they all looked good, and I agree with Beast on the character stuff at the end. Su Yung is doing that, and that Su Yung character is so different. And like, you can't even, when you see her, it doesn't even look like the same girl because the makeup is so out there and so like, oof, and getting you, you know. But I think Rosemary's got tons of talent too. And Taya Valkyrie in spades. I can't believe she's not in WWE with Morrison. There's tons of money written on her, bro. And especially with Charlotte on her way out, Taya could come in, fucking clean house. 6 months later, Charlotte comes back, and now we got something. But, you know, right now, Impact has the best women's division in wrestling, I think.
How's my voice sound now?
A little more irkly, but yeah, good.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as it's not as though, hey, how's it going?
Yeah,
like it was that,
Smalls
like that
is
30
the
minute
illest.
show.
His style is played out like on a win. Now, what
This
you
is pretty
talking about,
good.
Willis? The Thrillist go on the Black Frank White. Is here to excite and throw dick to dykes. Bitches, I like them brainless. Guns, I like them stainless steel. I want the fucking fortune like the wheel. I squeeze gats till my clips is empty. Don't tempt me. You don't know what the fuck I been, B.
So after that, we got, I believe it was a video package. We're in Dayton, Ohio, with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. They're in a car. Initially, I thought Madman Fulton was driving, how it was shot, how he was looking.
Me too. And then he gets out of the back of the car. That was a bad continuity thing. I thought he was driving too.
And it was weird also because then he looked at first, and I'm like, wait a minute, did you take out? Like, I thought maybe there could have been some comedy that they could have played in, like where it looked like he was driving, but he really wasn't. So he's taking his hand off the wheel or something. But they didn't really play.
But he was
that.
driving though, right? Am I wrong in that?
I don't think he was driving.
Then it was 3-seater. I'll tell you one thing though, Ace Austin's pants were heat. Just fucking seeing him, I was like, you asshole. Like, it was a good choice. Like, whatever Lululemon fucking yoga pants he was wearing, but I got pissed off just seeing him with his legs up like that. So that was good heel shit, because if I react to it, I was like, you fucking asshole. So good stuff.
So yeah, they're in the car, and Austin says that, you know, they're in favor of Slammiversary, but there's one thing he's learned in his 5-year career: you have to go back to your roots and train in the dirt if you want to move forward. Isn't that similar, of course, to what Bray Wyatt said to Braun Strowman in their feud? However, Madman Fulton does trust Ace on this one, and that will progress along throughout the show as they'll cut back to them arriving in Dayton and whatnot. So that was a nice little thread, if you will, to kind of begin the show after that match. Then we got
Fulton's,
a nice little...
Here's the problem. Fulton's going from an enforcer for Callahan and OVE and breaking out as a star, like we thought solo-wise, and now he's just an enforcer for Ace Austin again. I think that is like not the good reset that you want if you're breaking off Diesel from Shawn and you want him to become Big Daddy Cool on his own.
Was he ready to become Big Daddy Cool, though?
Why break him off in the first place then? If he's not because that's marginalizing him. Yeah. Like, that's a sideways move. It's not a vertical one.
Well, we went from that though to this was great. They give us an update on Rhino and Hernandez, and I haven't been following it all week on social media. So for them to show all the different clips and different ways they were doing the arm wrestling contest, from in the bathroom to near a popcorn stand, you see Rhino pouring popcorn into Hernandez's mouth to get him some food. You know, they're all over the place, these different locations. And eventually, though, they're back backstage again once more in Impact Wrestling. And we have Moose comes in and he asks Hernandez and Rhino if either one of them would be his tag team partner tonight against Crazy Steve and Tommy Dreamer. They both said no, and as he walks away, he slaps Hernandez on the back, and then Hernandez loses the arm wrestling contest. So Rhino now, excited, he picks up the money. Hernandez grabs it back from him and says, no, we're going to settle this in the parking lot, and this will lead to a parking lot brawl between the two later on. Were you happy with this comedy, Ben? Was it, up to your comedy standards?
It was all right. It was there. Rhino's in fucking insane shape, bro. Like, I don't know if he's in the water working on boats on the marina and he's just doing that, or if Heath Slater's sharing his Triple H diet with him or what, but he looks like a fucking $1,000,000. But then we go from comedy to like a serious fight. Like, and this production truck keeps getting fucked over, whether it's Ken Shamrock and Callahan or whatever out back. I feel bad for whoever's got to pay the lease on that bitch. You're not getting your deposit back. That's for sure. It's going to be all
editors in the truck trying to do shit, and the people keep hitting up.
Right. Especially those two big bastards. It's fucking like a real rhino and a fucking elephant running into the side of the son of a bitch. It stood up enough for a little side business for filler. It's a lot better than what we get from WWE for filler. You know what I mean? At least a little attempt at something, even if it's comedy into whatever. And then they're out in the street fight and he picks up a rock. And I was just thinking Wu-Tang, oh, y'all like to throw rocks, right? Who threw that shit? Who threw that shit? I'm like, dude, that to me are small things that are like the ghetto side that, Hernandez, Supermax, even though he's big as fuck, would be doing. That's a reality in a character to pick up some cheap shit like that. And like, come on, motherfucker. And then Rhino's the baby face because now we know who the heel is with the weapon right there, even in a street fight. So these guys get it. And I thought maybe I was hopeful that Heath Slater would run in right there. They had something taped maybe from before. So Slater could have been on Raw and on that because Rhino did allude to it a little bit 2 weeks ago in a promo. But I thought that would have been the place to do it because then you could have had those two get up on Supermax. Supermax has to go get a partner. It comes back the next week, and now we have Rhino and Slater versus LAX again. But we didn't get that.
I would say either that or you could save it for the pay-per-view. I was actually thinking during the fight, I was surprised they ended it. I figured they were going to keep fighting throughout the show, and then they're going to lose. They're going to keep fighting all the way to Slammiversary. Right. And then at Slammiversary is when you have the Heath Slater, debut and run in to help Rhino out. It reminded me kind of similar to, although this might get you hot, MSG, to the Family Guy stuff with Peter Griffin and the chicken, where they fight. I was kind of wondering if they were going to do something like that, where it's like they fight forever until finally at some point it ends. I just couldn't help but wonder if they could have stretched that out even further and make it even more. I always think, how ridiculous can we make this before it's too much?
I was thinking I like where you're going like that, and it would even stretch my ideas. If they didn't tell what it was instead of the arm wrestling thing, what if it was because that Supermax hadn't paid his docking fees at Rhino's marina for the summer, and he owes him like something ridiculous. Like he only owes him like $150, but he refuses to pay it or whatever because he's boys, and then
he's got to work for
him.
him.
And now Rhino's pissed, like, you won't pay me, or like it's not going to break the bank, but it's like over something totally small between bros, $150, and it just keeps fucking going. And then even Rhino, he gets the Supermax's wallet or something in the fucking bag, and he goes to pull the money out, and he gets clothesline from behind and shit over something ridiculous like that. That would pop me. That'd be a little good, more comedy.
And then you could even potentially, if it gets over, after it runs its course, anytime you have like a holiday or special occasion, then you have some kind of reason for a fight, like the who gets the next Christmas present and Dirty Santa and
sure,
I got the next number.
Rhino
I
goes,
have the next number.
Yeah.
Then the big brawl, then it's Christmas. You know what I mean? Like you could keep playing up that game, and that's one thing where years down the line you could bring them back in a cameo, and then it's a whole thing. It's hilarious again.
Rhino drills holes in the fucking boat and sinks it, and Supermax shows up like to go fishing. He's got like, what the fuck? Rhino's over there laughing at him. They go at it again. You know what I mean? Just kind of. What is the Grumpy Old Men? Play that shit out between Matthau and Jack Lemmon, where they're putting a fish in his fucking bag and shit like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All that could keep going on, man. Every time. That'd be great stuff.
Well, after that, we've got our next tag team matchup here: Triple XL versus the Daners. I was curious. So I think Larry D. He's from Rick's area, right? Well, I know specifically. I know that Rick has worked with him like on Indies and whatnot. Was he before he came into Impact? Was he tagging with Romero? Or did they just start together?
Maybe a couple times in those big hoss fights that they'd be on. Some people would book shows with the biggest big men. Wrecking Ball Legursky, Brute Van Slyke, those two. Greg, can't remember the fuck. He's a big bastard though in the Northeast.
The reason why I was asking is that, just because I'm going to plug Headlock Comic here, is they're in their last 10-day push for 450 backers.
Actually, big Stoojoff, glad you said that. Joining us next week on the Monday Locker Room on 720, Mike Kingston coming on, man. So we're gonna have Kingston on, bro.
You're gonna have Kingston on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be there. Thanks.
Well,
I'm the guy who buys the comics anyway. So to put that over, he notes in one of the wrestlers in the comic characters, they're like that one of the veterans teams up with the younger guy, or he gets him to agree to team up with him based on the fact that he bought him gear. Right. And I was looking at Larry D and Ace Romero, and I was like, oh, they got brand new gear. I was like, I wonder if Larry D was like, hey, pal, tag with me. You're the hot young guy. I'll take care of.
TJP did that. TJP did that for Fala, too. So, I mean, that's kind of the more over guy, I guess, kind of thing. That's a noble thing to do, and make sure you guys are trying to get over looking good. Maybe.
It's a politic move, right? If the young guy's hot and you want to strap yourself to him.
Well, I know AC was just an indie darling based on his size, working everywhere in the Midwest to Northeast, and as the big, huge guy, who can move. And I think AC's lost maybe 50 pounds, 60 pounds. I hope he gets down even more for his health and pressure on his joints, as I'm sure Man Beast, like anytime you see anybody of that size, you're like, oh man, the problems he's going to have or will have. But I don't remember him and Larry D being like an established touring tag team, but that fucking absolutely works together, no doubt.
Well, after that, the match-wise, to get into that, Larry and Jake battle to stalemate to begin. Neither can kind of get the advantage. Jake sends Larry into the corner. Jake whips Cody into Larry's gut. Jake spears Larry into the corner himself. Jake slams Cody on top of Larry. Larry then tagged in Romero, who clubbed Cody down to the mat. Romero ran over Cody. Jake broke up a pinfall attempt. Jake charged into, but Romero pounced him into kind of the other side of the ring. And then Larry powerbombed Cody. And then the finish was Cody wasn't a legal man, but Jake rolled Larry into a crucifix pin for the win. So the winner of that match was your Triple XL. I'm sorry, the Deaners. Deaners won this match. So yeah, what do you think of the match, Dr. Ted?
Well, it was all about what happened afterwards, and it was putting the edge back on XXXL, which I thought was good.
Heel turn, right?
Yeah, because up until this point, really, they haven't done anything of significance or importance on this show. So this, to me, was the first significant thing, really, that they've done since coming into Impact. And so the one thing I was thinking, though, it's a shame they're already establishing themselves as heels, although I still think they need to very much embrace the fat guy gimmick, and I want to know, why is there nothing, at least as far as I've seen, why do they not have any piece of fat guy t-shirt merchandise yet? Because to me, that's their money. I mean, how over was the big dog shirts back in the day? And not saying they need to rehash all the big dog stuff, but, the XXXL, size matters stuff, whatever tongue-in-cheek fat guy stuff they can put on a t-shirt, or just, not just guys, but, big bone people in general. If they're going to embrace it, they need to embrace it, have some merchandise. And I think there are people that could absolutely relate to the gimmick and want some ironic, sarcastic shirt that puts over them being fat.
And do the infomercial with the blue screen, sizes XL to 5X. Like, fucking, that's what you sell. Nothing smaller than an extra large, They could definitely should be merch machine in that, even their own way on YouTube, and they put it on. Diener's up. I was surprised on the finish. Diener usually goes over with the one and done on the DDT. That's his thing. So but they're going to do business afterwards with a heel turn, so you can't really be knocked out to do that. So I get that, and the business wasn't about the Dieners up. They're an established tag, and I'm glad to see them back together. Unfortunately, they'll never beat me and Congo Kong like that because we're just too goddamn good and not distracted by food. So it'll be interesting to see where Dieners go, because they did great pre-tape stuff. They have a lot of value there. I think versus Good Brothers could be some good matches there, and I don't see them being on the chopping block anytime soon. But I was glad Triple XL has business. That means you're booked on more shows. That's right. Important.
My thoughts on this, going back to rehashing a gimmick that I used to be part of the Mobile Homers, and we always were all about the barbecue. So my first thought was the Dieners after the loss, they need to keep concentrating on the tag team champions. They don't need to worry about XXXL. So we're all just gonna try to relax and have a little family barbecue, and they look over and notice all the barbecue is gone. It's been eaten. Who ate all the barbecue? The two big fucking fat guys. You know what I mean? And then that's a whole thing.
And even then,
you ate our barbecue, and that's it.
Then they could even accuse him, and they were like, "No, we didn't. We did, you fat bastard." And really, it was Fala the whole time. Fala ate it and put the heat on them, and fucking
the Filipino barbecue. Yeah. They all go fighting off, and then the camera returns to Fala and TJP, and they're like, TJP, it is pretty good.
Yeah. And they got their ass kicked. Yeah, I think all that's good, man.
Yeah,
good old barbecue brawl.
Good old barbecue brawl. Well, after that, we saw Moose. He's still moving around backstage, trying to find a partner. Well, he does find one in this case as he finds Rohiraju working out. Moose walks in, says he's been looking for a tag team partner and that Rohit is his last resort. Now, this initially annoys Raju. It gets a little bit of, comedy there at the end. And after he whines and complains, Moose goes, "But are you still going to be my partner, right?" And he's like, well, yeah. But you at least could have got me hyped up first. And then Moose says, "Scraping at the bottom of the barrel here." So they're playing. That's Moose's partner for the evening. That'll be up at the later half of this show. After that, we got Johnny Swinger. Now, this was great. So Johnny Swinger tells Chris Bay he's going to get to ringside. Don't you worry. He's got a plan. So he goes and finds the referee. And he tells the referee who banned him at ringside, "Look, you can't ban me from ringside because I talked to cancel culture," which I thought was funny. And then he pulled out a piece of paper just so he can read it correctly, because I'm Chris Bay's emotional support host or management or whatever. And if you don't have me out there, I'm going to sue you. And of course, then the referee backs down because he doesn't want to lose his job. And this was great. I like Johnny Swinger having to reference cancel culture terminology. And I was like, "Oh, you did it."
And
hold on.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and this might be the first time I've ever seen a wrestling company get out of something that they might have not been trying to do. Like, how do we get out of? We've banned Johnny Swinger. Oh, I know. Let's use this cancel culture as a way to get out of it. So I just thought it was brilliant. Sorry, go ahead, Ted.
No, my point was not nearly as important as that. I popped for the Kojak reference when the bald referee walked in, because that's such an old reference that's like, but Johnny Swinger would be the guy that would use a Kojak reference.
Yeah, who loves a baby? Yeah, absolutely. Some Telly Savalas shit generational. He knows exactly what he's doing. Swinger's been around since ECW and all that. The original, not the reboot. And fucking now he's getting... Any moment that he gets outshines everybody else character-wise. Not because he's so much more brilliant. It's just because he sticks to the bit and he knows the voice of his character, bro. And that's it. It doesn't need to be any more than that. And we get another scene where Chris Bay is trying to press up on the new girl and talking that shit, and he's right around the corner. And then Bay comes out, she leaves, and then Bay comes out and they're face-to-face. And he puts heat on Bay, without saying, "I heard what you said, brother." But he's like, "Talk to the office, brother. It's a no-go. And you're going to have to be out there yourself tonight." And, after Bay was like, "I got this guy taking my bumps and doing all the hard work for me. He's a mark," while he's trying to talk some shit. I don't know if I liked that split there. I didn't like that split there because there was more to go on, but... because
it was too fast. It happened way too fast. I feel like they hot shot at the end, the breakup already, when there's still a lot more you can get out of Johnny Swinger and Chris Bay. Like, I want to see Johnny Swinger help Chris Bay win the title. And then I want to see that Chris Bay get such big of an ego that, Johnny Swinger finally doesn't take it anymore. And we finally get the clash.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what happened there, but we'll see what they do with it next week. Either way, Swinger's going to fucking do fine with whatever you give him. He's going to make gold out of it.
Ted, did you have any thoughts on this segment further than that?
Swinger's awesome. Just want to echo that.
All right. So as you did mention, it doesn't happen until later, but Chris Bay, Johnny Swinger does find Chris Bay trying to mac on a girl, turn to the Mac. And he's talking some trash, saying that he's got Johnny Swinger doing his errands, doing everything for him. And then Johnny Swinger overhears, and as you mentioned, he tells Chris Bay, "You're on your own, daddy." Well, after that, though, we do kind of get a recap of Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo's, lead up to their match. And then we're joined in a contract signing with Jimmy Jacobs in the middle. And he hands the contract to the challenger first. Before she signs it, Peraza says that when Grace steps in the ring with her, she stepped into the ring with class and sophistication. When she leaves Slammiversary, she won't be walking away with the knockouts title. Grace pushes Jimmy Jacobs out of the way and then gets her in her face and says she doesn't know what she's getting into right now, as then she slams her head across the table before Deonna Purrazzo leaves and Jimmy Jacobs breaks it up. What'd you think of this, Ben?
Sucked. Deonna Purrazzo's 24 years old. She called herself what? Classy and sophisticated. You know, a lot of sophisticated 24-year-olds. I get it. They're trying to do the virtuosa thing and whatnot. And Jimmy Jacobs is there, and you know, the Haw set is trying to fucking.
Yeah. And not to mention, it broke real quick. It also was you always show don't tell, and that was very much the opposite. If you have to say it out loud, then it probably means you're not
classy,
compensating for something,
right? Yeah. And the writing's bad. And Man Beast, let me ask you this: in all the wrestling matches that you've ever wrestled in your 16-year career, how many contracts have you had to sign?
Oh, for a match?
Yeah, for a match.
I mean, not very often. I think.
Yeah, me it's zero. I've signed zero contracts, so I'm sick of
real life or kayfabe.
Oh, I've never had a contract signing in ring, and I say real life. So, like,
okay. I say because I've done the segment, the contract signing segment.
But in real life,
right? No,
none. So it's fucking stupid, and it never accomplishes anything. And then they're fighting, and she leaves, and then Big Mama Pump says, "What are you gonna do, Jimmy Jacobs?" To bitch him out too. And it's just like, why was this segment even anything when a heel could have got heat on the other one? Nobody believes in contracts. It's all so overdone. And this is just a mailed-in segment from girls you're not protecting, because really, Deanna's more ready for TV than Trish is, because she's only worked indies and got hired that way. Deanna at least came through NXT and trained under Damian Adams, who was OVW 101 TV worker and has put over tons of people, so he knows it. But this didn't do anything to hype me up for their match at Slammiversary, dude, at all, really. And it was just filler.
Would it have been or made more sense, because last week when Deonna Purrazzo appeared on the Titantron, if you will, she refused to come down to the ring because she said, "You're not going to see me until the pay-per-view." So I was a little miffed that after 1 week saying she's not going to, come see Jordynne Grace, that she's now in a room with her. Would it have been more classy or sophisticated if somebody had showed up for her, like a proxy or something like that? I've sent in my rich lawyer, I've sent in my butler, or whatever it is.
That wouldn't be bad to insulate if she had like a Bentley Farnsworth like P. Diddy had, somebody walking around with a, umbrella for her. So she does that, but we haven't set that picture. Right. Like Man B said, you don't tell somebody you're the virtuoso, the classic, da-da-da-da, and you're so high class. Meanwhile, you're doing nude beach photos on your fucking Instagram. Yeah. Like, what are you?
Yeah, but I would say MSG, you're on the right track. You're bringing in as someone on behalf of her, and that's someone then that Jordynne Grace could have legit just killed backstage, put through the table, and it puts her over without them ever actually touching. Mm-hmm. Which, but they touched right away. It already makes it hard when you do that. Especially
if the virtuoso character is going to be Nick Bockwinkel-esque. He'd be way too smart to fucking put himself in a position to like get his face slammed off a table. And the virtuosa character, did she attack Jordan, or did Jordan attack her? I can't.
She attacked Jordan.
Okay, so the heel got the heat at least. I thought they did it backwards. Yeah. I couldn't remember in my mind, but okay, so there's that, and then apparently you can just fight in front of management backstage during a contract signing where there's no audience, and then call him a bitch and step up to it, and Jimmy Jacobs just takes it and then end scene.
Hashtag man too, Jimmy Jacobs. Yes. You need to speak out, brother.
Man too.
That's right. Go ahead.
I'm bringing that back. No, go ahead, Ted. It's fine. I was going to get into the next.
I'm just trying to think of just little fancy things and put it over. Like instead of just having a traditional entrance and song and everything, I'm just spitballing here. Like, what if you could grab? Now, granted, you'd have to get someone willing to do it in the global pandemic times. But say she had a giant someone that played a giant cello, just on her, slowly to the way to the ring with just a single spotlight, and just having it be a more elegant, entrance for her.
Just like
and
Nakamura
then
with the guitar player chick. How awesome was that when Nakamura had? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it'd be a similar thing, but a whole different vibe. You know what I mean?
It'd be
more elegant
great.
and graceful. You know what I mean? Have even maybe an escorts, with her to the ring or something. You know what I mean? Just making it, and not just I am the fanciest of fancy. Believe me, I'm super duper. That's not really what she's doing, but I feel like to a degree, it's like, no, trust me. Look at my pinky. See, it's out. I'm super fancy, y'all. And, it's like just be what you are instead of having to necessarily say it.
And she should have students like a Da Vinci or something like that, where she says one little line of something and they're writing it down and like, oh yeah, that's what she said.
I thought you meant just like people that are following her just for the art of what she does. Like when she's wrestling, someone comes to the ringside, they start drawing or painting.
I'm down with that too, bro. I'm down with that too. Do a Bob Ross gimmick that way. Sure. And whatnot, and critics, and even do things afterwards. They rib Meltzer like Art Voice Weekly, Virtuosa delivers 5-star performance, and you know what I mean, and just that's the simple stuff that's really gonna take that character next level. It's all got to be show don't tell. You cannot say that shit.
Next level
podcast.
And maybe right after she wins, like her manager comes up with 2 or 3 pieces of merchandise she signs real quick for her victory, you know what I mean, that's something in real life someone that might otherwise do as part of their press or what have you. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you.
Well, we went from that to, I thought something was really well produced here with Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan, and they're hyping up their newfound relationship, if you will, as a team, where Sami Callihan tells the story of the proverb of the scorpion and the frog. For those who are unaware of that, it's a very classic story. How just to give you a recap, Scorpion asks the frog, "Can you take me across the river?" Frog says, "No, you're going to sting me." Scorpion says, "No, I promise I won't." Jumps on the back of the frog, and as they're halfway down across the river, the scorpion does sting the frog. When the frog asks, "Why'd you sting me?" the scorpion says, "Well, I'm a scorpion. That's what I do." So they kind of told that parallel to their relationship, where Ken Shamrock knows that at any point in time the scorpion could sting him, but he ends up by saying the frog is going to hit him back or something like that. I forget the exact words, saying that the frog is going to break your arm or break your neck or something like that. Oh yeah, break your neck. So that's how that promo ends. But I thought this was good as far as their relationship. You kind of got Ken Shamrock saying, anybody that doesn't tap out to my ankle lock is a guy I want on my team, and you've got Sami Callihan on that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend right now. So what did you think of this, Dr. Ted, before we go to Mr. Slammiversary?
Are we talking about the promo? Sorry, go to Ben.
That's all right. I like the Sami delivery of, and I had a parable about the frog and the scorpion, and it went like this: the frog swimming down. I love Sami's his delivery, and that just, it amps up everything. And that isn't show don't tell. That is show don't tell. He's not telling you anything. He's telling a parable and then also narrating into his story. So I thought it worked. Clean shaven Sami always pops me. But Ken Shamrock's hairline is pissing me off. That I'm that bald at 42 years old, and fucking Shamrock's got maybe it's a full head of Bosley, but nice spike at whatever age he is. So when you're beating the shit out of him, Matt, just grab a handful of that hair for me and pull that way.
Well, I don't know, man. According to what was it? I don't want to. I'm gonna mess it up, so I apologize. It's either Lone Wolf Graham, I think, on
Lone
Twitter.
Wolf Gam, GAM, yep.
Yeah. I think it was it him who just said on Twitter that 5 hoes equals adrenochrome. So maybe Shamrock's got a lot of hoes back there. I don't know.
It could be that. If Shamrock wants adrenochrome, you get him fucking adrenochrome. That's what it is.
Dr. Ted, what did you think of this parallel as far as the story, if you will, of using this proverb to kind of get over this new relationship?
Hearing about it, I like it. I realized that it looked just like a vignette of rehashing what had been going on. So I admit I had fast forwarded past this. Gotcha. I didn't realize they had the new material, but I do like that analogy going back to the parable, simply because it's something that I think is relatable. And when you can, if you can encapsulate a story that makes people understand what you're trying to say. So had I not seen what had been going on, I feel like based on the way they did the vignette, at least based on what you all are saying, it was able to rehash the relationship between these two and make us understand why we have to tune into Slammiversary to see what is going to happen. And it's all about the why. And they did a great job of explaining why this match is important here. And so it's based on what you all are saying here. And so
I think Al would have liked this to set it up, the whole story going into it, because it has been a long story. And I like that, especially when we get shit dropped in WWE so much. Shayna Baszler's breaking chicks' arms. Then she's off TV for 8 weeks because we didn't see money in her. But we need her back now because our TV sucks. Okay, but here 8 weeks ago it was Shamrock and fucking Sammy, and OVE, and we're still continuing that long-term storyline. And that's how Power, Beast, and I always wrote business. Was where Stephanie McMahon says, we write things a year out. Yeah, bullshit you do. You write them 4 hours before the fucking show, and it shows every week. We actually would write 5 to 6 months long term for different characters that month. So at month 6, they would all fucking collide even, and you'd be like, what is going on? This is incredible. How'd they do this? That's how you
and inevitably shit changes. People get hurt. Sure. People have to stay after work. People didn't pay their dues. that was something we had to deal with, which they don't have to deal with up there. But, shit changes. Sometimes you do have to rewrite a segment or show literally minutes before we're out there and in front of a live audience. But it's having that ability to be able to talk through stories and finding, if things go perfectly, what is the best way we can present this story? And if things fall apart, then you go to the backup plan, which actually sometimes does end up being better than the original plan. But having that long-term business always in mind is so crucial. And I think having an open dialogue and being able to exchange ideas is really the key. And that's where I'm not quite convinced that in every wrestling promotion today that's going on. It's more of respecting the hierarchy, the pecking order, and just, speak when you have an opportunity, but never ever challenge, versus back when we would write. And I feel like we did a pretty good job considering the lack of seasoning that we had. I don't want to say the lack of talent, because we did have a bunch of talent guys, but guys with little to no experience, but we're able to write intriguing stories in part because we worked through it. And we're not afraid to you tell me, I don't think that's the best idea, but here's why, and vice versa, to be able to challenge each other. That radical candor, being radically candid with your team of writers, is so hugely important in order to get those best ideas and long-term business.
Absolutely. And if it's got more heat in it or to lead to a bigger payoff, then I'll gladly throw my fucking idea aside, or we find a middle ground where both of them can fucking operate together and we get something else organically by committee. But usually that backup to the backup, after some Russo swerve or Gutterman shows up and pulls a guy for piss test, usually what happens there that seems like, oh shit, what do we do, is actually a gift. And you find a creative way to fix it and incorporate it in, and maybe that was the way the story was supposed to go the whole time. You know what I mean? If you set up the game to play it out, you'll find a way to plug different players in at the last minute if you need to.
And I'd say, not to mention, when you talk through stuff, there's plenty of times when say we had an idea for the following week, and then someone else would talk through an idea, and it's like, no, that's a good idea, so let's do this idea the first week, and then you can start stretching out the business and really building it over time to do it that way.
Yeah, you can turn 6 weeks into 12 pretty easily. Not easily, but with, all right, here's the game we set up. Now let's get the details and condition our audience. Here's payoff 1 to build that heel over the lower mid-card babyface they like. And the lower mid-card babyface got elevated because he wasn't there with this heel. Now the heel goes on to the second tier journey where he fucks with the guy's buddy, goes over on him till he has to finally get to the dragon, you know what I mean, and do the whole business there. So that right along, each one of those should be a month. There's 12 weeks of TV, and we approach everybody's stuff that way pretty much, man.
Yeah, well, not to deviate away from Impact, but you said something, Ted, that I'm interested in, just to put a pin in Impact for a moment. You're talking about staying late and paying dues. Peel back the curtain, it's after an OVW show. What's something that somebody who's paying their dues might have to do?
It's before an OVW show, then the show, then after. Go ahead.
Before and after.
Yeah.
You're asking what their responsibilities are,
give me something.
Or what should they do? Well, afterwards, it's cleaning up the locker room and making sure everything's up to par, everything's clean. And then, of course, you have to do your due diligence, and it's a good idea to talk to, like, if you saw something happen in a match and you don't know why they did it, and you have an opportunity, then take the opportunity to say, hey, I saw this happen. Why did you do it? Or if you yourself had a match, that's when, prior to your match, don't ever assume anyone is just watching your shit. You're not as over as you think you are. Prior to your match, you go and you find someone that you respect and that you would like to get some advice from, and you say, hey, if you don't mind, would you care to watch my match and give me some advice afterwards? And then you follow up with it. So it's just putting in that little bit of extra time and being humble to know that even, and I'd say this is even for experienced wrestlers. I would challenge you to do the same thing. It is so easy to get to a spot where you feel complacent and feel like you don't need to go and do that extra thing, but it always pays off. I even, in recent years would sometimes go up to people that had almost no experience or fans to say, hey, what did you think of this match or what segment? And just to listen how they visualized and thought through it, because that also is going to give you valuable input on how you're presenting yourself out in that ring based on what someone with little no experience got from that segment. Because if they didn't get the business based on what you did in that ring, then you're the one that needs to improve upon yourself in order to parlay the story that you're trying to tell.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think in any, I mean, not just toward wrestling, I think in any industry, there's that time of where you're building yourself when you're young and you're paying your dues and you're learning because you're hungry and you want to gather as much information as possible, whether it be music. I always tell musicians, it doesn't matter if you're fucking opening or headlining, you should be there from beginning to end. That's how you build the base, and everybody, comes together and continues to grow, rather than just, all right, I played my show, I'm fucking out of here, see you later. I do production when I'm working games. I'm there first there and I'm there last to, over under that 50-foot TriCaster cable. You know what I mean? So you got to, put the work in, guys.
It comes down to, honestly, just a single line of advice I got very early in my career from Nick Dinsmore. And that is, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And that doesn't always mean having to, talk to everyone. It is good to go and network. It's a lot of times in wrestling, as we've seen it many times before, it's not always what you know. Sometimes it's who you know too. And building your network is only going to improve your ability to be able to make those moves. While at the same time, you have to be humble and always hone your craft and always be working on your value as a product, not just a wrestler. What value do you have for them as a performer in the ring, as someone on a microphone, as someone on social media, as a brand ambassador? What value do you have? And so the more you can chip away and make yourself visible, so whether that's showing up early and the CEO of the company just happens to see that you're there just cleaning up, they probably won't say anything, but you do it enough times, Rich will say, hey, this kid really, really wants it. He's showing up every week early to help set up, or staying late to help clean up afterwards. So it's all the little things that add up in the end. And it's never too late to humble yourself and learn a little bit more.
I think just from a human standpoint, I think the biggest obstacle we face is that fear, right? The fear of rejection, or that fear of feeling like a fool. There's been certain situations where I'll just, I have to hype myself up, like where I'm like, okay, you got to get up and go talk to that person, or you got to get up and go sit at that table and sit there and shut the fuck up, but be there. You know what I mean? That way they know you're there. But there's that fear of rejection, which I think anybody, just as a human, it's a natural human trait to have, that you don't want to be rejected and feel less than. So, but do it. Get over that fear is what I'm going. I just take a chance. You
are going to get the occasional asshole, but I would say in the 16 years I've been around wrestling, the majority of wrestlers, as long as you catch them at, like, if you're in the middle of something important or conversation, don't interrupt them. But I found, I'd say 90% of the wrestlers I've come across would at least give you the time of day to answer a question if you caught them at the right moment. So, and don't even worry about having to make a comment or show certain yourself. Just ask the question. Say, all I'm doing is asking a question, which worst thing that can happen is they don't answer your question. The best thing that can happen is you get a piece of valuable advice you can use to advance your career and possibly form a relationship with someone that you respect. So, to me, the benefits far outweigh the risk as far as that's concerned.
And definitely don't go fuck with them at the merch table, unless it's been Hamin. You can give him $5 and he'll give you life lessons at the same time and a face lab. So, there you go. Well, up next, we had another tag team match here. We have bountiful tag team matches here on Impact this week. Moose and Rohiraju taking on Tommy Dreamer and Crazy Steve. This wasn't a bad match. I thought Crazy Steve looked pretty good in this match itself. But to kind of, break things down, they had a good match back and forth. What did you think of this match, Dr. Ted?
I thought it was a good little match, and I was glad to see Rohit back on the show. I think he's been having an on again, off again I know he had that little kind of mini feud with Rhino not too long ago, but it was good to see him getting a chance to progress the story here. And to me, this story was the Moose and Tommy Dreamer. It was kind of served as a backdrop for that to help give a win for Tommy Dreamer. So inevitably he could be elevated, but pay off Moose's heat on Slammiversary. I'm assuming anyway.
Right, Roger.
So I thought it was a good vehicle for that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, I thought it did good business. It was a fun match, and I think it made people interested to see what's going to happen between Moose and Tommy, at least to some degree. I don't think it was as good as the promo that happened a couple weeks ago. I think that was the highest point because it just emotionally drew you in. But this was still fine for what it was. It was good action, and given what I assume is going to be the finish at Slammiversary, I think this was the right way to go into it. You put the babyface up, make him look strong, only so the heel can then get more heat on the backside of it when he goes over.
Yeah, so Steve hit, of course, the diving DDT on Raju for the win on the way down the match. Crazy Steve and Tommy Dreamer. What did you think of this match, Ben? Did you like it at all?
Yeah, I'm obviously a mega Tommy Dreamer guy. And to see him do his Terry Funk impression while dressed as Dusty Rhodes pops the shit out of me. So I was with it. Moose looks like a fucking $1 million. It's bullshit that he's not right in that championship. I'm hoping they'll bring in Eric Young, win the title, and then even that night, Eric versus Moose up.
Unify.
For the fucking, That's what I'm hoping for Slammiversary. You know, Moose is just a incredible athlete, a once in a lifetime that you could have on your squad, and you've seen him get better, you know, in real time. Coming from Syracuse football, I watched him do the NFL to all through the wrestling, and you know, got speared by him in 2 CW. So I'm happy for his fucking success, and I like that he's doing the character stuff more than like what a normal football guy might come in and do. You know what I mean? Really good stuff, and Crazy Steve is probably one of the best utility workers they have, where you can put him in almost anything. Same with Rohit. I'd say Steve and Rohit, you could put him in with anybody as the backup guy and be like, okay, we got this covered. Like, if it was me and Beast writing the show, those are the two dudes where we're like, we need a solid 8 here. We need this to happen here to get over business in that mid card to raise somebody up. Here's 2 guys who are going to do it without ego, make them look great, and get their own shit in a little bit, you know? Those are 2 guys I would love to have on my team, just to be like, no worries there. We can always go to these fucking dudes when we get stuck, man. And we had guys like that. Rudy Switchblade, Dre Blitz. Silvio, absolutely Silvio. And they will fucking give you the exact segment to get the guy over. They'll still be established as their own star, but they're going to do a great piece of business for you. And so will those guys right there.
Yep. So then we got the parking lot brawl here. This is where it actually broke down here. I thought it was interesting how it ended. It ended with both of them just deciding to split the money, and they're going to be friends now. It was another weird segment tonight with it feel like they ended something prematurely. You know, they ended the finesse.
And I thought that too, unless it's going to be an ongoing thing, then they're going to have some other thing happen where it's a small issue, but then they go into a great fight again. Potentially, I'm not saying it is, but that's where I agree with the MSG. I kind of thought they were at least going to continue into the pay-per-view to then allow something to develop there. But it'll be interesting to see what does come out of it, because I can't help but feel like they have something in mind here. I can't help but feel like they have something in mind. I'm just not quite sure what it is yet.
What piece is this?
That was the backstage parking lot. Rhino Hernandez.
Gotcha. Yep.
Right. I was just kind of giving over what actually happened. They concluded by them shaking hands and being friends, splitting the money. Just split the money, dog. I can split the money. Mm-hmm. All right. So Ace Austin and Madman Fulton roll up at the same location. They didn't show us where. Meanwhile, Hernandez, like I said, was getting ready for that blackout brawl. Then we got a long vignette of Ace Austin training and talking about becoming the face of the industry. He says it shouldn't be about some old guys coming back for a payday, nor should he be compared to someone like AJ Styles. What everyone should be talking about is Ace Austin becoming the world champion. at Slammiversary, the youngest world champion. They then Impact showed us kind of another vignette for this time for Eddie Edwards. Trey talks to Wentz about the mystery opponent. They're looking to sneak into the place where
I'm a little worried about Eddie, dude. I feel like the years of bumps are starting to take his toll on him. He seems vacant to me. Like, not the guy I remember from fucking 6 years ago. Maybe that's just me, but like I'm a little worried about CTE with him, dude.
He definitely, as far as even in the promo when he was talking about wanting to be the world heavyweight champion, it definitely felt very like, I don't know, lackadaisical, very lethargic.
It wasn't uninspired and lazy,
No,
but it was like not there. You know what I mean? He wasn't in his zone, and like I was just like,
I'm gonna be the world champion because I'm the best out there, and Eddie Edwards is, he's chasing that title. You know what I mean? It definitely felt like he wasn't all there for sure.
I worry a little bit about that stuff.
Well, to continue on, Trade was talking to Wentz about the mystery opponent. They look to sneak in to where Ace Austin and Man Fulton are training. They do get in. Wentz distracts Fulton and tries to trap him in a room to no avail. Trey, though, is in the ring with Ace, trying to get that revenge for the mom situation. They have a kind of 7 to 8 minute brawl. They include steel chairs, trash cans, guardrails, steel chair wrapped with barbed wire. That last one was just enough to kind of scare off. This
was at Rockstar Pro in Dayton.
Okay.
That's Sammy's and their place.
So, they had another cinematic fight. We had 2 cinematic fights, if you will, on this card. What do you think of it, Ben?
I don't know. I mean, all right for the piece, and they were building throughout the show, so I like that from card to da-da-da. So they have a format through the show that they were taking us on that ride.
Russo, bro.
Yeah.
He's consultant firm.
Right, yeah.
Just kidding, guys.
But once we get in there, it looks pretty indie. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to. It is. I just didn't think the show ended on the biggest cliffhanger that it could going into Slammiversary with these guys, even though Ace Austin and Fulton get their heat, and he's holding them down and stomping on, not Trey, what's the dude he was stomping? I can't remember which one it was. The Rascals. I mean, they're all Wentz. And they're doing it, and, they're doing the cinematography stuff, but as soon as you go through that, like, little drop curtain and it feels indie to me, I'm like, ugh. Like, I get it. It's COVID. They got to fill time. That would have been better in a semi-main event spot and then something with your match to go home doing business, because it ends with the heels exiting, like, not chicken shitting, but backing down to the barbed wire chair. And heels need heat. When you chicken shit out, you're not getting your heat there, especially going into Slammiversary. So I think it would have been better for them, the Rascals, to have Ace Austin cornered where he was getting a little heat and they get up on him. And then Fulton comes in and fucking kills everybody. And it's Austin and Fulton standing over him going into the fucking gimmick that way. So a little bit of like, we could have ended on a higher note. The cinematography stuff is cool, like the cinematic stuff that they had in there. I like the takes and whatnot, but it left an indie feeling in my mind, is all.
Ted M. Punk.
I couldn't help but wonder if there was something else that was filmed for this final segment, but because of things that happened over the last few weeks and things having to get cut out, that perhaps this was filmed to try to make up for whatever it was.
Oh, it had to have been. Johnny Swinger mentioned cancel culture in this, right? I mean, that's something they probably wouldn't have wanted to say. I mean,
exactly. It made me wonder if maybe there was some big brawl with the roster or something, but because guys had to be removed, that they just use this as a platform. Because otherwise, why wouldn't you have Eddie Edwards as part of this too? You know what I mean?
Right.
He's part of that match. I can't help but feel like, they went and did this in post. I know Sammy's got some good video editing guys up there. And so I can't help but feel like
I feel like that's what it was. Sammy probably directed this. They all shot it there and sent it to D'Amore via Dropbox, and they used it. And it wasn't. I'm not saying it's
right.
bad.
And I'm not faulting him for it. This is where sometimes you can't score a touchdown, so you got to punt. And did it do business? I think to a degree it did business. It did the most effective business that they could have. Probably not, but I also think part of that was out of their control. You know what I mean? To some extent, at least with all the stuff that's gone down. So. I think, it could have maybe done more if they would have had Eddie as part of it. But again, you're working under the circumstances and the cards that you're dealt. So, I mean, I think given that, I don't think it was by any means a bad segment. Did it feel like this is the final go home for what is their WrestleMania? I'd say maybe not necessarily.
Who's the little driver girl? I want to know who she is.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
She was cute. Well, that's it, guys. That's another edition of Impact Wrestling. There was one more thing on Twitch. I don't know if you guys caught it. Right after that segment happened, they went to like a primer for Slammiversary, and at the end of the primer, they had a package being delivered to D'Amore, and he opens up the FedEx package, and he's like, "Oh, Slammiversary just got more interesting." So that's really how Impact Wrestling ended, if you will. But that's another edition, you guys, of the Impact Attack right here on HackerHamin.podbean.com, as well as available everywhere, not just on Podbean. We're on Spotify, Apple, Overcast, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast. There's CD Baby. I don't know. We're probably just everywhere. Just go look. Just look up HackerHamin.podbean.com. Find the Conspiracy Horsemen back here tonight. Twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. As well as you can catch up, guys, on all previous Conspiracy Horseman episodes on our Hacker Hamin, on the Conspiracy Horseman YouTube website, on Bin Hamin's YouTube as well. I'm your host, Moses, lives on the West Coast. Your boy, MSG. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. Suck My Balls, Season 2, Episode 18, number 32. The season finale, number 2, Prehistoric Iceman, is now up with special guest Joe Vernola, who is the owner of Primo's Pro Wrestling. Or I'm sorry, not the owner, one of the guys for Primo's Pro Wrestling in Denver, Colorado. I might be working for him. Anyway, so check that out. And you can also, of course, check out Light the Fuse tomorrow. Send in your emails to lightthefusehmg@gmail.com, and you can have your email heard and have Ben and Sylvia respond to you. Yeah, Dr. Ted M. Punk. What you got going on?
Well, of course, we're excited for the affiliate Hamin Media Group page getting launched this week. Also going to put out the pilot episode. Now, this is still a work in progress as far as my video editing is concerned, but at least wanted to get the first pilot out there and then doing semi-regular debates. Yeah, we're going to have to find out MSG. So that's going to be fun, as well as doing some of that. And then, of course, you can catch me with Colin Weissong on the NXT Next Level review tomorrow, and then I'll be back around for the Monday locker room. Before we go out, I wanted to real quick, I know we're short on time, I made a list of 11 people I think that could be in this World Heavyweight match. So maybe real quick, literally the first thing that comes to your head, yes, no, good idea, bad idea. Is that okay? We'll run through these.
Sure.
At least, and I went ahead and took out, like, as much as I feel like my cousin might show up. I'll be honest, I did not include him on the list. I did not include guys like Brock or Lesnar.
I don't think Punk will be there because of the fact that they just filed for pay protection for $150,000, and I don't think Punk would do an autograph signing for $150,000. Go ahead.
No. Number one, probably the least exciting, Rob Van Dam. He is a former World Heavyweight Champion, but he is someone that could work in there with those four guys. Sure. What do you all think, Rob Van Dam?
I think they got him for X amount of appearances, and Slammiversary is a big one. So no one's going to be like, oh, shit, Rob Van Dam's in this match? Boo. Like, he'd be a good one.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson's another one that's former world champion they could bring in.
I think he's burned that bridge, dude. Even though he didn't work with Anthem a lot, he had the spot that was going to be the dummy, Eli Drake shit. And he didn't want to do it. Eli Drake slid right into it, and it was bad business. I just think that he may have a little bit of stigma that follows him around, and that's what costs him jobs, unfortunately. He's always been cool to us, Yeah. But when it comes to the office, it seems like it always ends in a weird way for him.
Yeah. Mr. Anderson, I don't want to deviate. The momentum that guy had when he first came in.
He's crazy.
It shows how quick you can mess it up.
You fuck with Randy Orton or any of those guys, you're done, bro. You're fucking out of here, B.
James Storm.
I like that, but isn't he still technically contracted to NWA?
Is he?
No, I think anybody can go. And I know he's in fucking incredible shape right now. Like, really been on the grind, really been on the diet, and he's TV ready. I wasn't thinking him, but that would be a good one.
Yeah. You want to talk about a good tag team that wrestling has missed out on is James Storm and Billy Gunn. I don't know why those two haven't been tagging the last year.
Why they didn't put James Storm and fucking what's his nuts back together and do Beer Money in WWE is the dumbest fucking thing of all time, bro. Beer Money could have made a fuck ton. You could even have brought back in Austin at WrestleMania to come out on the Boozer Cruiser. They all fucking come out together, bro. Austin could have got those guys over to the fucking next level.
Oh, that would have been awesome. Austin Aries, I know he left on a bad note too, I believe, but he's another one that's a former world champion that I think would pair well with the guys that are in that matchup.
I don't think so. I mean, I know that he came out and he did that shoot interview, and they talked about that him and Morrison had planned it all out, so there technically wasn't any heat. But since then, we never saw Austin Aries. So I agree. There's probably more to the story that we don't know about, and I don't think he's coming back to Impact anytime soon.
Yeah, he'd be good in there, but again, I agree with that. I think your top one that you've named so far is James Storm. Keep going.
Yeah. Billy Ray.
Bully Ray, yeah.
Yeah.
That one I think is possible.
Bully Ray.
They've been teasing the aces and eights. You have Doc, who was previously part of that. D'Lo's back there. That one I think is very high likelihood could potentially happen. Ben?
Yeah, I think he's right there in the mix too. That's probably a number 2 pick. I'd like to see Billy Ray Valentine in there, get his ass kicked.
Yes.
That's actually my pick. But Bully Ray, obviously with Madison Rain and Josh there, and the relationship between Madison and Velvet Sky, there's plenty of value there just to do a one-off sex appeal. And oh my God, he's back because he's done with ROH. So he's looking for an opportunity. Definitely a good pick.
Eric Young.
That's my number 1. I think that to put him in there and then put the belt on him and then have him go against Moose is the best. If I was laying it out, that's my number 1 choice. If Bully Ray's in the match, I don't have him going over. If James Storm's in the match, you could have him go over. But those are my top 3 that you've named so far right there. But EY is the guy I'd put in the spot.
Eric Young.
Go ahead.
I was going to say Eric Young makes sense, though, too, as well, from even Moose's storyline standpoint, because if Eric Young wins a title, then Moose beats the TNA legend for the Impact title.
And here's the politics. Eric Young and Scott D'Amore.
Yep.
Best bros. So, from Team Canada days all out. So that's what I would be doing with a guy I trust, can get for a price, to make sure everything gets done the right way, the match is agented the right way. You're not dealing with ego, you know what I mean? And I would go EY overall.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking of EC3.
You fucker.
Now, that's the one I do want to see. And if he does show up, he needs to win the title. Like, you could not just not have him come in and lose that night. He'd have to take back his place. But go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I agree. He'd have to go over, but I don't want to see him here, to be honest with you. I want to see him and MJF together. I think that's where the fucking money is. And you could even bring in Rich Holiday from MLW and have that clique of like 80s Brat Pack asshole rich dudes who look good.
That
talk
might as well.
good.
You might as well just bring in Hammerstone too. I mean, they're all boys.
And fucking put in what's the Wardlow with them. You know what I mean? That's it. I mean, that's where the money is over there. Sure, it'd be cool to see him on this, but I think he'll be marginalized in a short amount of time in Impact. I really think him and MJF is where the money is.
Chris Sabin.
That's interesting because they did show Chris Sabin tonight during the Impact Plus flashback, the triple threat X Division match between Sabin, Kenny King, and Suicide. So that's interesting. I just don't think he makes enough of an impact, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Eli Drake.
Oh, I don't think I think the heat's still there.
Me too.
He was unwilling to wrestle with Tessa, and that was his demise.
But now Tessa's got a shit ton of heat, and they stripped her, so maybe that would be.
Maybe.
He'd be a good, he's back, but that's just going to be for a one-off, and he shouldn't win that match if he comes in as the. No. I want the guy who is going to be the holy shit, he's here, to also be the guy who wins the match to do the business going forward. And Eli Drake just hasn't had enough of a run to make the final step of that meaningful. If Moose goes over on James Storm, Bully Ray, or EY, it means more than going over on Eli Drake.
Stranger Sally in the chat room, but now Tessa's gone, so was he really in the wrong?
He wasn't in the wrong. As far as what they wanted to do, he stuck to his guns and protected his own business, and that's all good. But at the end of the day, you went against management, and even if they were wrong and they eat shit, they still remember that you fucking didn't do what they want to, and they'll say fuck you just based on that alone, even though they admit they're wrong, been proven wrong, that you're still not going to get over on us. And that's the vindictiveness that is the phony world of wrestling.
Now we're getting into longer shots, but I think there's still maybe a minuscule possibility. Kurt Angle.
Didn't he just resign? I thought he just resigned
with WWE.
Oh, he did resign.
Legends deal.
He's out. Another one that I still think's a long shot, but could really work out, especially for both companies, would be the NWA champion Nick Aldis, who's also a former world champion and current champion. But I feel like you could only do it if you were you'd have to find a way to elevate both championships. So I feel like to a degree he would have to win, and then someone would finally have to beat him for the championship, and then there could be Moose.
Nick wants to do good business across the board, whether it's ROH, AEW, impact-wise. I just don't see the heat of putting him in there. Like, he'd do good, but he'd have to win and then lose to Moose, NWA champion, losing to the Impact. It's just too much of like the business part of each of their own facades is going to be scratched up from that. Not that it wouldn't deliver, but I just don't see him in the top 3 there as a choice I would pick.
And then I do have a bonus. Then I am done after this. He's not an Impact World Champion, but he is a world champion in the WWE, which is still obviously, one of the most recognized promotions. And I understand he's working on a contract or a date-to-date basis, and they may have already filmed his pay-per-view match for Extreme Rules, but Rey Mysterio, who could also absolutely be a heck of a surprise.
I was thinking Rey in the open challenge versus Cody. Anybody can show up, and then he takes the belt off Cody. TNT would fucking mark huge for that as a surprise and their new champion. So I think if Ray's going anywhere, it'll be over there, not to just do business. But it would be cool, no doubt.
Just spitballing. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Ray goes over on those guys. Ray's got to go over on Moose and become your fucking big-time champ, which maybe that's not a bad move, but I don't see it happen. It would be very fucking cool.
Plus, I mean, the way that Impact has been hyping it, yes, they've been saying former champion, but they've also been, I think they've been pushing that they have to be former Impact or TNA talent.
Did they say it explicitly, though? Because that's where they could be throwing out the red herring that, okay, so everyone's thinking all these former Impact champions, so no one's really thinking about other companies. Right. Potentially, I'm just throwing it out there.
Sure.
So
I've been a champion in a lot of companies. Could be me then.
Well, speaking of Rey Mysterio, you can check out the Wednesday Locker Room with Andrew Bello, Steve King. I'm sorry, Steve King's not there this week, so shout out to Steve King. Hope you're doing well. And Billy Ray Valentine. So go check out the Wednesday Locker Room. But go tweet Steve King. Tell him you love him.
Old bitter Steve. We miss him.
Yep. But that's and of course we got patreon.com. What happened with Master Shoot Theater? What did Ben's get into this week, Ben?
He has seen everybody making a lot of money on these Patreons and all this side money. So Vince has decided that everything old is new again, and he's bringing back the WWE hotline 1-900. So it's we're bringing all that back. He heard the sexy Viking breathy voice in their promo backstage, so it might be a Viking sex hotline, as far as that goes. So tune in to Master Shoot, people enjoying it, a lot of heavy talk up front and good laughs as we always have over there, man. But some people have actually asked us to do AEW Master Shoot, so I'm gonna have to watch that con piece. But I would rather almost have if Vince or Stevie play con better than I do, I'm happy to be in the crowd as a supporting player. So you never know. The office might be changing soon, man.
Maybe I can be con. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
The office may be changing soon over there in Master Shoot. So a lot of people are like, man, I knew Master Shoot from before. It was like 2 or 3 minutes. Nobody told me on Patreon. It's like a 20-minute performance. So we do about 20-minute improv and about 22, 25 minutes up front, talking all the craziness, conspiracy horseman stuff that Vince wants to know about.
That alone is worth the $3 a month, guys, cool, just man. For that. I mean, it's hilarious.
People have been enjoying the hell out of it, man. And also Raw and SmackDown review has been a lot of fun this week. I rib on Seth Rollins, an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye. So there's some good stuff there. A good time, man. And everyone's just kicking ass on all fronts, dude. We're just going to keep pushing forward. Stevie just messaged me. He's got a new isometrics video that he's actually putting out on his YouTube and on Russo's that just went live. So free workout today from Stevie Richards Fitness, you guys. We just want to raise everybody up.
Isometric training is also awesome, by the way. In fact, after I do this, I have a couple patients I'm going to go see, and I guarantee we will be doing some isometric training as part of the rehab. So
awesome.
Stevie knows what's up. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. I got to do 25 push-ups after this. So
I've got to go be a culture vulture and a fat pussy. So you guys, I appreciate you, sticking with me, especially as crazy as my schedule is, to jump on here, review Impact as we head to Slammiversary. Should be an awesome week to keep catching up on everything. We'll see if any other news breaks that is going to F up creative plans. But they've set up surprises, and it makes people interested in it, as opposed to just kind of towing the weight of like, oh, there's an open challenge, but we don't know who it is or whatever it is, or something happened on Dark that you need to watch to get the storyline for what's on TV. No, it's being booked backwards and everything else. Well, here at Impact, we're getting fun and entertainment segments from hungry talent. We're getting an opportunity, and I hope they can keep their contracts now that the 90 days is up from the Future Endeavor Bloodbath. However, I think you're going to see a lot of guys get pushed off TV in AEW and in Impact because of those big names that are just bigger draws. And hopefully that because they were on Impact, they can go back to the Indies if we ever get restarted and make a bigger payday because they've raised their, acumen and in the fans' eyes, their value. So y'all infidels, anything else as we go around the horn?
I was just going to say, Jay Holly asked, patreon.com/RussoTWC is where you can sign up to join the see the Master Shoot Theater for $3 a month in that tier, or for $5 a month. You also get the Timeout with Disco. You get the AEW show, the Dirty Sheets show with Billy Body. So go check that out.
That guy's got a lot of good info. Go to Goldilocks too if you're a Patreon subscriber. You're getting rid of all those other pundits that just don't mean anything, who have a southern accent that's tough to listen to, and paying them for no reason at all, and Meltzer and all that. Cancel that shit. You get everything you need here for free, and you get the highest level of entertainment from the greatest mind in wrestling at russobrand.com and Patreon/RussoTWC. And if you want,
we don't make up things either. We literally talk about what's really going on, and instead of saying, "Oh, they're planning this storyline," it's like, no, Meltzer. I've seen this just from reading the dirt sheets. I'm starting to kind of learn stuff, but I noticed, I guess he puts out these storylines. Like, how do you know this? You clearly, like,
because Terry Taylor's calling and stooging to him for $150 a call.
I'm sure.
So, but y'all infidels, it's MSG, it's Dr. Ted, it's HackerHamin, it's your Impact Attack morons. As we head into Slammiversary, already making the 2 million downloads mark, we're pushing everything forward. Subscribe to it all. Support us where you can, infidels, or else you're going to be a complete asshole. Y'all.
Just gonna swap your asshole for a minute.